What's up, rockers? Welcome to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast, where we geek out on all things rock and roll. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Leave us your likes and comments. You can also leave likes and comments on Facebook and follow us on iTunes, Spotify. You can also check out our website, talklouderpodcast.com. I'm Metal Dave, along with my co-host Jason McMaster, and we are stoked about this episode. Our guest today is somebody we've been trying to get on this show since we started the show. And man, we are really excited. Jason, you wanna sort of hint at who we have, or just outright tell folks?
We got Dr. Danko Jones.
Dr. Danko Jones.
Dr. Danko Jones. No, I just added Doctor, Temple of Doom. So Danko Jones, and I have to this is where I just start rattling, and I'll try to keep it under an hour.
It is the intro.
Yeah, this is just our intro for Danko. So, the episode plays after the intro, duh. But I gotta say, I have met a couple of people that really didn't get Danko when they first listened to him, but then they saw him live.
Yeah.
And they changed their whole story.
Yeah.
And we're going to learn a little bit about Danko's opinion on live albums and being recorded live, etc. And the thing that I'm trying to sort of achieve with this rattle right here is I heard Danko in 2002, and that's going on 20 years ago. And why he's not bigger in America, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Do you have any? I mean,
no, I really don't know. I mean,
didn't we talk about this with an episode?
Yeah, we did an episode on Canadian. First of all, Danko's based out of Canada, and so we did an episode of this podcast that highlighted Canadian bands. You can go back and check out that episode. And we also did an episode on bands we thought should have been bigger. And oftentimes, bands don't get bigger for no fault of their own. But Danko is definitely, one of those guys in one of those bands that just has this fire. And like you said, if you see him live, they'll just blow your face off. And the studio albums sort of capture that energy too. And he does do well over in Europe. He's been around for 20 some years and tours Europe and his native Canada pretty extensively. Gets to the States once in a while, but
he's bigger in Europe.
Yeah, definitely bigger in Europe.
He's been making records for Bad Taste Records for a really long time. That would be the European label. Big in Scandinavia,
yeah,
but has toured all over Europe with Motorhead and Saxon, just to name a few. He's opened for the Rolling Stones. I think it was a one-off, but he's done entire legs of tours with Guns N' Roses.
Motorhead.
Yeah. And he's been on stage singing with Guns N' Roses, with Motorhead. He was on, we didn't mention this earlier, but he sings on a single that went #1 in a couple of countries with the band Volbeat.
Oh, yeah,
Friendly with the guys in Volbeat.
Yeah.
And he toured with Volbeat, and that would have been, saw that tour in 2012, and that was the last time I saw Danko live. But I have become friendly over the years with Danko. He sang on one of my records, the Broken Teeth Viva La Rock Fantastico record.
Yep.
There's a video for that. So there's all these stories. I could go on and on and on. Shout out to Three Headed Dog Clothing that made a couple of Danko Jones skate decks. There's a black one,
nice.
And there's this pink one here, and they're really cool. And the owner of Three Headed Dog Clothing heard Danko and fell in love with Danko pretty much in the same, breath like I did, and just made these for fun. And don't know if these will be available. It depends on demand, right?
Yeah. Looks really nice, though. And for anyone listening that maybe isn't aware of Danko, number one, shame on you, but just kidding. Number two, if you're a fan of vintage Kiss, Motorhead, AC/DC, Thin Lizzy, you need some Danko Jones in your life, man.
There's also like a Black Flag element. There's like an old like garage rock kind of a punk attitude going on.
Yeah,
Lyrically, it's probably closer to you know, a really dirty Kiss lyric. You
yeah,
know, uh, because
yeah,
that and he's excellent with his rhymes, and he's fast. His tongue is he's got verbiage, and it's
yeah,
coming at you a million miles an hour.
yeah,
The musicianship is excellent. It's a little bit of a modern take, production wise. Do yourself a favor. Just go do some research. Just check out Danko Jones. I'll say it again. My favorite record is We Sweat Blood. That's a great sort of starting point. There's enough records you can go back from there, and there's plenty of records behind that one you can go check out as well.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, total rock and roll animal, and just a demon on stage. And his albums are great, and he's got all the right influences, and he wears them well.
Has a
And
new record coming out August
next month,
27th, Power Trio. It's today is close to the end of July, so it's coming out a month from this taping, pretty much.
by the time
And
you see and hear this, it'll be on its way or available. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. And you'll start probably hearing about more. You'll have some Danko in your life by then, we hope.
yeah, if you don't already, and you should.
Yeah.
Let's
So
don't waste any more time. Let's get right to Danko Jones.
Hey guys,
How are you, man?
good to be here. I'm doing okay. Glad to be here actually. So yeah, this is going to be cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we're glad you could join us. Jason and I have had you on our wish list for a number of weeks, months, whatever, and we're finally glad to have you on board. So,
Oh yeah, this
where
is
are you
fun.
right now? You're in Canada, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm in Toronto. So yeah,
how far is
right
that
on.
from Hamilton?
an hour, 1 hour. Yeah.
Well, that's a Broken Teeth. That's the only Canadian town we've played.
I was going to say it's pretty impressive that you throw out Hamilton of all
Yeah,
places.
one little gig, and I don't even remember what year it was, but
Wow. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we're putting out a new record, and our record label is based out of Hamilton. So we're actually ending up in Hamilton more than we thought we would. So.
all right.
Wow.
But is it a subsidiary of your label in Europe, or?
No, it's a completely separate, yeah. So there's a European label, and then there's
Right. Okay.
yeah, there's
Right.
the North American. Yeah. So Sonic Onion is the label, and they're based out of Hamilton. So you're throwing it out there, and I've got a connection already. So
Sonic Onion. I like
Sonic
it already.
Onion.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
good.
they've been around for years. We actually put out
good.
our very first 7-inch on their label, and then we kind of had a falling out. And then I guess it was 3 years ago, we did a show in Hamilton, and they were actually promoting the gig, and we kind of reconnected and found out that, hey, you know what? We really like each other after all these years. So that's how it happens,
Well, maybe the bad element was just the weather or something,
No, it was, I think both parties were young and dumb, and we were both really stubborn, and we're protective and defensive, and then you go 20 plus years later, you realize we're the only one standing and they're the only one standing, and we've got that in common. And and hell, they were really nice to begin with. I've never really had a problem with them, but yeah, it was a long time ago. And
So
when we first started out, we were really like protective of our band to the point where it's like, let's go. You don't like us? Oh, let's go.
get out of my way. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
You don't
And
like
then
me? Then I don't like you either. Get out of my way.
And then, that happens a few hundred times, and then or 1,000 times, and then you're just like, whatever. I don't care.
So on this note, I love it that we're off to a really good start. By the way, this doesn't have to be any kind of timeline, but you mentioned you have a new record coming out on your the very first people you ever worked with.
Yeah.
I'm looking in one of just this old thing I found laying around.
Wow.
I found this thing just it was on the floor and
Tell people listening.
I don't really
is.
even know what it is. I just what the hell is this? Oh yeah, I stuck it. It was under the door, holding the door up, and I had to pull it out. Anyway,
Yeah, that's what
it's funny
used,
how
really.
it's funny how this was just like what is this? I just in my hand all of a sudden.
So for people listening, what are you holding up there?
I'm holding up. I Got Something to Say by Danko Jones.
Danko's book.
10-year one of Danko's books. 10 years of rock and roll ramblings, forward by Duff McKagan. Now, I opened to the back here. It's got a discography, and this 7-inch you speak of is not on this discography.
Yeah, I guess I guess we should have put it on there. I'm really bad at.
Did I just get you in trouble?
Yeah, I don't. It's an oversight that no one caught, I guess. But they put out the 7-inch and then a 5-song EP, which actually I got an email from today that they're going to reissue, and they just sent us the reissue artwork for that 5-song EP. And so I think in my head, when I think of discography, I tend to forget the 7 inches and the EPs, and I go straight to the LPs because that's just how I am.
I tend to do the same thing. I want to interrupt you one more time. So, Born a Lion 2002, We Sweat Blood 2003. I mean, that's prolific. That's fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too fast.
Sleep is the Enemy in 06, Never Too Loud in 08. That's about my speed. And then, 2010, it's speeding back up below the belt with that. Never Too Loud was 08, if I missed it. Rock and Roll's Black and Blue 2012. I believe that's the last time I saw Danko Jones.
Oh, wow. So you haven't seen us with our, I guess I can't call him new drummer anymore because he's been in the band for 8 years, but Rich is just pretty much the drummer that we should have had.
Yeah, I'm used to having him in the band, even though I missed him. I saw the in-between guy. So Fire Music 2015 and Wildcat 2017. And what year did this book come out? Don't Make Me Dig.
2018.
Okay, so that makes sense because Wildcat was 17. So I want to talk about the book, but there's just so much. When you recorded Born a Lion, how far out had you played, like outside of Toronto, by the time you were starting to record Born a Lion?
We had done, I think, 4 tours of Europe, a bunch of tours of America.
So that early,
of course, Canada. Yeah. We started touring in Europe in 2001. We did 3 tours. And then I believe there was a tour before we went into the studio for Born a Lion. So 4 tours, I think, if I'm right. And then, of course, there'd been numerous American jaunts down south because we're just right on the border.
Yeah.
But we didn't go really deep in. Although we did make our way down to Texas because of the South by Southwest Festival in 1999, 2000. So
was that in 2000? Was that the first time you played South by Southwest?
First time was 1999.
Okay.
And then we came back, I think, the next year.
For the record, I don't think me and Dave, I know in 99 did not know of anything called a Danko Jones.
Oh, it was a washout. We ended up on a Canadian music showcase, which is basically another way of saying nobody's coming. And so, I mean, it was ridiculous.
There's a lot of that going on in South by Southwest.
Yeah. But I mean, to be stuck with, and it wasn't like the same genre or anything. It was like we knew all these people but we would never play together in Canada. What's going to make anyone come to this when the two of us are stuck on the same bill together? Not that anyone was bad or terrible or mean or anything. It was just like, what is this? We traveled all the way down for this.
It's a salad bar, and people get
Yeah.
confused when there's too many choices. And if it's a rock showcase and there's this kind of rock and that kind of rock, but if you have something with, with like concert violinist as the lead on it, and then an alternative band, and then a hard rock band or whatever. Yeah, I get it.
The only thing that was tying us together was we're all Canadian, and God, that's the reason why we're on tour, is to get away from Canada. You know what I mean? It's like, so
right. Here you go. I love Canada, but it doesn't matter where you're from. If you're here to kick ass, kick ass. I don't care where you're from.
So Danko, tell everybody briefly what that book is all about, and tell people how they can get it, and then tell me how you got Duff McKagan to write the foreword.
It's just a bunch of essays that I've wrote for all these magazines over the years while I was on tour, and really, it was a great way to kill time. So I started writing, and I enjoyed it, and I knew I needed to work on it. So it had been a while since I was in school, handing in essays. So it took a few years to kind of grease the wheels. And then, I amassed a whole bunch because I wanted to, in the back of my head, I wanted to put this book together. So I started to reach out if I was doing an interview with somebody and there was kind of a window where they said, would you write for us? I would pry open the window and go, yeah, I'll start writing for you. And there was a time when I was writing for like 5 or 6 a month, and it was a lot. It was too much. But it enabled me to kind of amass a whole bunch of essays for this book over a period. So, and then Duff, that's interesting. It's funny that you asked me that, because I actually did this thing for the BBC today. I handed it in, and it was all about Duff. And so it's on my mind. I can easily tell you how. We ended up touring together in 2013 with both his bands. One was Loaded, and we did an Australian tour together. And it was for the Soundwave Festival, which was a huge festival with all kinds of bands, and they would pair up bands with a guide in Australia. So you would travel with that one band you're kind of paired up with, and then you would share a guide and share buses, and you would play the same stage. And our band was Loaded, and it was what a great band to be paired up with.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not a drag.
No, it's not. There's so many amazing bands on the bill, though. Everyone from that year, it was, oh my God, Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, Hatebreed, Madball, Sick of It All, Caius. Oh my God, it just fucked up. Cancer Bats. It was
a happy camper.
Oh, it was insane. Like, it was insane. And so we got to hang out together, and then we did a 6-week tour of America later that year with his other band, the Walking Papers. And so that's 8 weeks with Duff. And again, we were sharing the same stage, sharing the same this, sharing the same that. I mean, by the end of it, it was whatever. So the last we were writing for outlets. He was writing for the LA Weekly. I was writing for my magazines. And so I'd ask him some questions because he had put out a book, and, we would share writing tips and stuff, writing on the road. What do you do with your editors? Do you do this? Do you do that? Etiquette with editors, et cetera. And so on the last day of the tour, I said, hey, listen, if I write a foreword, if I write a book, would you write the foreword? And he said, yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever. I'm never going to see you again, whatever.
Wow.
And so 3 years later, I'm readying the book for Feral House, the publishers. And I hit him up and I say, hey, Duff, remember that thing you said yes to like 3 years ago? And he wrote me back, and it was a really badly kept industry secret that Guns N' Roses were getting back together. And he wrote me back and he said, like, my life is getting busy starting tomorrow. He didn't tell me what it was, but I knew exactly what it was. And he probably knew that I knew what it was, but there was probably some non-disclosure thing. And so I said, okay, yeah, thanks. That'd be great. Cause he said, I'll try to get it. A week went by, 2 weeks went by. And I thought, all right, let me start thinking of other people for the forward. And then boom, in my inbox, there was no email to it. It just was the piece, and that was it. And I was like, oh man, thank you so much. It was amazing. So that's how he ended up writing it, because I asked him to.
That's awesome.
He kept his promise.
Some of that story I'd actually heard about from you before. I saw Dave light up there. It's like the etiquette with editors and things like that. Like Dave, you got Dave to crack up. That's something you guys would have in common then.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I know all about the, and each one is different. You got to play them different and work with them differently. And the expectations are different. And you kind of got to learn how to handle whoever it is you're writing for. And yeah, that's why I cracked up, because I totally understand exactly what he's talking about.
Well, I liken it to working with a producer making a record.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You really have to, I think you can benefit the best from an editor and a producer if you keep your ego in check.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question about that. There's been times, early on in my career, much like you were describing earlier in this episode, when you were talking about the early days of your band, you were very stubborn and bullheaded about everything. And I was much the same way as an aspiring journalist. And you write this, an article or whatever, and you turn it in, and you don't want one single word touched. And you have such this pride of ownership over it. And then you get mad when somebody changes it or rearranges it. And then you learn that, wow, they actually, in some cases, can make it better. Or you learn, now I know what they're going to do with it. So you kind of take this preemptive strike and you sort of tailor it to what you know they're going to do with it. And that way you can keep as much of your words intact as you possibly can. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like working with the editor of my book, Aaron, we're friends, but he is an editor for a music magazine in Canada. So he was my editor at Huffington Post. And, so we had worked together, but even still, when we started the process, he warned me. He was like, listen, it's going to sound like I'm cutting you up, but like, take it in stride and it's up to you. And I just thought, when I first got his initial, you know what I'm just going to say, the first time the editor gives you back your piece with all their, I don't want to say corrections, but suggestions.
Yeah. Preferences.
It can be very jarring for a first-time writer. And I had to take a step back. My heart sunk the first time I got something like that, because I thought, well, do I suck that bad? It's funny. And it's the same in making a record. Jason knows that whole vibe too. Having your song rearranged by some fucking guy who wasn't there when we wrote this thing.
Well, then the label or someone from the label is the worst, because
that I don't. Sorry, I don't. No, I don't listen to that.
I know that there. Sometimes their suggestions were actually kind of cool, and some of them were just like, get out of here.
Yeah.
But someone like Max Norman making suggest to, you've got this big hole here. You need to either sing something or you need to put some noodly guitar in here, but don't change the arrangement. Just, there's a big hole here where there's no solo, there's no breathe, there's no dynamic, and you need to put something in the hole. And I learned a lot just from that suggestion.
Yeah.
Because you want the song to breathe, but it doesn't mean, he didn't say, you guys do a breakdown. He didn't say change the power of the section, other than you need something that's talking right here, right?
Yeah.
So, and that meant a lot to me. So,
yeah, even just small suggestions by these heavy dudes go a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys, give me a second. I got a cat trapped in this room. I'm going to get her out of here. Hold on.
Oh, it can be our special guest. It's turning into a zoo.
Ralph's gone. I don't know where he went.
Uh-oh. Did he go? Did he leave the room?
Nah, he's kind of like a cat. He's a dog, but he's a cat. and he actually whines too, like meows a bit.
Wow.
Sorry about that.
So,
Ralph the cat.
Usually have her out of here before I get started. So yeah, I totally understand what you mean. An editor is much like a producer in the writing world. You mentioned at the start of this, and we should jump right into it. Tell us about your new album. It's dropping next month, I believe.
August 27th.
Called Power Trio.
Yep.
Talk about it a little bit. Tell us tell us about the making of it, because I'm sure it was made in circumstances unlike any other album you've done due to the pandemic and that sort of thing. So just walk us through it. Tell us what we can expect. And again, it drops when? August
27th.
27th.
Yeah, so, well, like you said, it was written in isolation from one another during the pandemic, and we've never written an album like that. And so we were just kind of very skeptical of. I was like, we write albums bashing it for hours in front of each other until something sparks, and that could be a pain in the ass and a giant headache unto itself. But that's the only way we've known to do albums. And so this kind of forced us. JC, our bass player, he was insistent that we write the record and make it. And I was almost as insistent to just curl up into a ball under my blanket and wait till this fucking thing is over. Yeah, I did not want to do it.
I'm glad that JC won that fight, because you got to keep moving.
Yeah, he usually wins most of them. So he was like, well, if we don't do this, this is what's going to happen. We're not going to be ready for when this thing is over. We won't have any reason to tour. We're going to need to tour whenever this is over. So I kind of reluctantly picked up my guitar and started writing stuff. And I realized very quickly that, holy cow, this is taking my mind off the pandemic, because nothing was working. Movies, I couldn't read books. Everything was just like, even like TV shows were okay because they only last for like 25 minutes or 45 minutes at a time. So I could kind of take my mind, but after, I can't go more than an hour. Even today, I can't go without like checking to see if there's a new thing that's happened. So I found that it was mentally relieving to refocus on something completely different than like a virus. And then when it came time to, get into the minutia of the songs, then we realized we have endless amounts of time to work on lyrics and melodies and guitar solos that I usually never do because we always have a tour looming or something. Mm-hmm. Now I could what else are you going to do for the next X amount of days you can work on the lyrics for this song until that helped. But I think we have a song on the album called Blue Jean Denim Jumpsuit. It's track number 6. That was the first song we wrote in isolation together from beginning to end. I came up with the riff, and then JC kind of arranged it. He put it all together on the computers, and then he put a metronome underneath it, and it was just the raw bass, guitar, and vocals. Like if anyone was to hear it, they wouldn't think too much of it. But when Rich brought his drums on the track, everything just settled into place. And I was like blown away. I was blown away. We've never done a song like that. And I wrote them back and I'm like, I don't know about you guys, but this is like one of the best songs we've ever written. And we did it without even looking at each other. Oh my God, we could do this album. And so, all credit to JC. He did all that. And, then we just finished the record. So that's how it went, and I didn't want to cut you off.
That's okay. How deep in the writing did Saturday come about?
Well, we had 5 or 6 ideas before the pandemic started and before lockdown. And Saturday was one of those songs. It was just, the verse riff, and the kind of the melody, and then we finished it while we were in lockdown. And I didn't have any lyrics for it. JC just said, "What are you singing in that chorus part? Like, are you singing Saturday?" And I said, no, I'm not, but now I will, because I can't think of anything else. So
Well, because I do it all the time. I sing dummy words, and then I
Yeah.
hear something later on and go, wow, that sounds like I'm saying whatever, right? So
Yeah.
I make up something. It's all phonetics anyway, right?
Yeah. So that's what he was hearing.
Yeah.
And since he could hear it, it's already there.
Yeah.
I didn't have to kind of wedge anything in there. So
Easy.
yeah. Yeah, easy.
Made it easy. It's like a natural. I was going to say this a second ago. You guys know what you're doing. Pandemic. You guys know what you're doing. In a room, in a room together, flushing out tunes, or stuck at home on a computer with a boombox, whatever. You guys know what you're doing. You write it, stand upside down. You'll write it even better. You know, who knows? Stand on your head. Who cares? You know, make it. Anyway.
Yeah, I was just so insecure about it at first, because I always need immediate. What is it? Is it good? Like immediately.
Yeah.
That's not what we got. Like I'd have to wait for them to, it could be hours or the next day before they said, well, hey, that sounds good, rather than immediately just going, no, let's do that again.
Maybe you can trust the universe a little bit this time, or next time you have to write a song in locked in a closet or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm locked in a closet. What is my keeper going to do to me next? Oh, well, I'll just write songs.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
before the pandemic, I might have my timeline wrong, but I seem to recall that one of the last string of gigs that you did was you did dip into America on the West Coast and did some dates with Junkyard. Is that right before the pandemic?
Yeah, our 4 last shows ever were with Junkyard.
Yeah, because the Junkyard guys rave about how much fun they had with you, and I was jealous from a distance, thinking, "Oh man, I wish that Bill would come to Texas."
I think that little Danko Junkyard thing happened immediately after Broken Teeth and Junkyard in Austin, because they were talking about it.
Yeah.
In the
I remember that.
Yeah.
And then
having conversations. I was telling them all about you, and I was going, don't get me started on Danko. Let me show you my Danko tattoo. Anyway, by the way, I don't have a Danko tattoo yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
But I was, of course, I was telling them, hoorah, yay, Danko, rah, rah, rah. And they were like, oh, really? And I'm like, minds will be blown. And Todd, bass player, Todd Muscat.
Oh, yeah.
Sent me a shout out. I don't know, like the week they finished with you. Jason, dude, you were right. Todd's never messaged me before, but he did after I told him about Danko, and then did a week on the West Coast with you. And dude, you were right. So.
They were. I mean, all those guys were so nice and so much fun to hang out with, and genuinely really nice guys. And it could have easily kept going and wouldn't have blinked an eye. They were all nice. Todd and Tim and Jimmy and Patrick and David. They were all really, really nice guys.
Yeah, we just had David on the show. And I went to high school with David. So.
Oh, wow. That I didn't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. We had like art class and shit together.
Yeah.
So, Fridays we could bring.
You got Danko. Danko
got to watch it.
Danko needs to watch the David Roach episode, because it's one of my favorites. It was great.
Oh, I will. Now I will. Yeah, I think it was David that I went up to, and on the first show in San Diego, and I said, Jason McMaster says, hey, or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You sound just like me. I want to hold this up because it's heavy on my mind.
Oh, yeah.
You put me in here. I didn't pay you to put me in here. I didn't ask you to put me in here. You just put me in here. Much like your other books, your stories are real. They're about experiences. They're your stories. They belong to you. They're your memories. You have like a recollection of the first time you saw or heard or bought one of their records or whatever, and then you talk about like when you met them for the first time and became friends with them, and then they end up in your book because you're telling the stories that I just set up. this book is Too Much Trouble. I'm holding. By the way, I'm holding up Danko's. Is this your first? Like,
Oh, that's not. I mean, it was written by Stuart Berman.
okay, so this is
Yeah.
right. This is a very oral history of Danko Jones to finish the title. So somebody wrote this with you?
No, they wrote it. It was their thing. It was their whole thing. Yeah, Stuart
Really?
writes for Pitchfork, and he's written for Spin. He's written for all kinds of. He's in the Pixies movie. He gets around.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So he pitched an idea to his editor or something, and they said yeah, and you just worked with him a little bit.
Well, we actually approached him. We were
okay.
we were thinking of, if we can do this book thing, and it would, I can't remember if we had the idea or if he came up with the idea for an oral history. I can't remember, but I remember pitching him a book idea on our band, and
this is 2012. 2012,
yeah,
by the way. Yeah.
and he said no, he wasn't interested because he saw no angle on the band. And I've known Stuart since, oh my God, since we were before our band. So I've known him for over 20 years, and we're good friends. But he said no, out blank, because he did another book on Broken Social Scene, which is an indie rock band, and it was an oral history. So yes, it was from him, another oral history.
Okay.
And maybe it's because he didn't want to, he didn't want to do the whole oral history and chase down a whole bunch of people again. But then he called me back and he goes, I figured out an angle. And the angle was how we are perceived as this kind of band. We're a band that went on tour with Nickelback and Turbo Negro. We can get played on the radio, but then we have all this kind of underground cred or history. And there's these two worlds that most of these bands never kind of cross-contaminate. And so we've managed to do that. And
so many things come to mind. I wanted to interrupt that entire fucking sentence, dude. I wanted to because, I mean, you guys play with Motorhead and Saxon. You guys have played with, I don't even know, your
Guns N'
friends,
Roses,
your friends
Rolling
with,
Stones.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The Rolling Stones.
But Death Angel and you're friends with Sepultura guys, and I can't even, I'm not going to name drop any more than that. I don't need to. So the angle was there. He just had to sleep on it.
Yeah. So it took I don't know how long it was, a week or two, but then he was like, no, I got it. I got the angle. I got the thing. So it wasn't as if he shut us down. He just couldn't figure it out.
I really learned a lot about this because, in the times that you and I have actually hung out in person, I always kind of felt like I was sort of interviewing you, but you kind of shut that down right away because you were asking me shit too. So,
oh man, are you kidding me?
Total hangout, right? And
yeah, I think it's a mutual thing. I think you are one of the greatest. I don't want to say hard rock. I don't want to say heavy metal. I think you are one of the greatest all around heavy music singers in music today. You are in a special, I put you in a special kind of category. You and Bjorn Streed from Soilwork, the two of you, I'm like, I don't know how they fucking do it, but I don't know how you guys do it, but
you just got to practice your cartoon voices, bro.
No, but it's not a matter of coming up with the tone. You guys can seamlessly best whatever genre that you decide to slip into. And very inspiring.
Thank you very much.
Especially during this time of quarantine. And you have come into my head because there's been times where you say yes to a quarantine with people and they give you the song and you're like, well, it's not really my first choice, but I'm going to try.
Yeah.
And I go, well, what would Jason McMaster do?
Wow.
Well, I had to do this. Well, I had to do this quarantine thing where they wanted to do a jam, Judas Priest. No, they wanted to go from Motorhead to Judas Priest to Iron Maiden.
Yeah, that's the Charlie Benanti thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And so of course I was going to say yes, but how am I going to do this? And it's like, well, how would Jason could tackle this. How am I going to do it? So you were in my head for trying to figure out how to get through that.
I didn't doubt you one moment. I watched that fucking thing like 5 times in a row.
Oh, thanks, man.
It was super, super fun. You made it fun. You know, a bunch of guys standing in their living room playing, you know, I call them COVID videos, you know, because I did
COVID videos. Yeah.
Too, right.
Yeah.
And, you know, people are just standing around and Charlie's gotten really good at putting those together. Charlie has a couple of different cameras that go in at the same time. So that's kind of a good idea. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. But where'd you shoot your footage now that we're talking about these videos?
For that one, that was different because we were in the middle of recording Power Trio, and luckily I was in the middle of recording vocals. So I'm like, I can do the video for this really easily. So yeah. I went early in the studio that day, and I just did it before the session started.
Were you just playing the audio back and then just like rocking to the camera sort of a thing, or was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
pretty
cool.
much.
That's smart. Yeah.
Tell people what we're talking about so they can look it up on YouTube.
So I did this metal quarantine with the guys from Sum 41, Dave and Tom from Sum 41, and the guy who put it together was Gene from Hank von Helvete from Turbo Negro's bass player in his band. So Gene reached out to me and got Dave and Tom from Sum 41, and then Dave got Charlie.
Amazing.
And so, yeah, it was pretty wild.
I'm a huge Charlie Benanti fan. The guy.
And what song?
Medley, right? It's a medley.
Electric Eye. I want to say Electric Eye. No, I want to say Overkill into Electric Eye into Murders in the Rue Morgue.
Right.
So it's a Diano thing, which I can do better than Dickinson. Like it's a little too. Yeah.
Dickinson's like from another planet. He's hanging out with the theater kids, right?
Right. Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Theater kids, even though, it's funny. I can do Halford, but I can't do Dickinson. I can give Dickinson hell, but it's more hell. He's giving me hell.
You can do Halford. I can't do Halford. You can do Halford. Yeah, you can totally do Halford.
Well,
that's hard.
The timbre of my, because I'm not really a true tenor. I am like what I call a fake tenor. And so I have like this third voice, which is like a kind of a Bon Scott thing, and like Steven Tyler sings there on the break of his voice and adds the fry vocal to it, and I can do that, so I can do the Halford if I use that stuff.
Right. And I know exactly what you mean and what you're talking about.
Yeah, the theory of sort of fake it till you make it on vocal stylings. The thing is you sort of have to warm up that middle break right there, or it just sounds like a donkey, because it's just a big crack,
Yeah.
I wanted to just kind of, so we finish up on this, Too Much Trouble, A Very Oral History of Danko Jones. He did a really good job.
Oh, yeah, Stuart did. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not saying that because you insisted that you put me in here. I believe there's a picture of both of us singing at South by, which would have been like 2011? 10?
Yeah, 10 or 11. Yeah.
10. Yeah. Remember the cold snap? It was like 5 degrees.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest weather in crazy.
March in Texas.
It was spring break.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, we're Canadian, so I was ready. I had my leather jacket and everything.
You didn't care. It's like, wow, Texas, 5 degrees. Okay, whatever.
So, Danko, we touched on this a minute ago, but I wanted to delve a little deeper. So I was looking at the bands that you've supported over the years, and I have to say you probably have the coolest list of bragging rights as far as bands you've opened for. You mentioned Motorhead, you mentioned Guns N' Roses, you mentioned the Rolling Stones. I think you've done dates with Michael Monroe, who I love. And a lot of people a lot of maybe casual fans are under the impression that when you tour with somebody, you're always partying together and hanging out. But the three of us know, you're kind of ships in the night, and you might catch some time. So out of all those bands, because they are all such cool bands, was there any rare moments where you got any social time with any of those guys during the busy touring schedule?
Oh, absolutely. Like Guns N' Roses tour was before Duff and Slash rejoined. So it was who was it? It was Tommy from Replacements, and Bumblefoot, and DJ Ashba was on guitar. Richard Fortus is still in Guns N' Roses, but it was still like, and Dizzy Reed was in the band.
Yeah, because Dizzy contributed to both or one of these books.
Yeah. So Dizzy was, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, we did some hang time. Like I got to hang out with Axl Rose 3 times on the tour. And that's a lot, man, for a guy who's totally that reclusive.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So we did, it's a long story, if you guys don't mind.
Go for it.
So I think it was like 5 shows into the Guns N' Roses tour, and I'd met everyone except Axl. And someone in the Guns N' Roses camp came up to me and said, Axl wants to meet you tonight after the show. And this was in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And I go, oh, that's great. I mean, I would love to meet Axl. And we were on tour. It was Guns N' Roses, Sebastian Bach, and us. And so I'm on side stage with Sebastian Bach, and we're just watching the show. And someone else in the camp, a different person says, you're going on stage to sing Night Train. You and Sebastian are going on. Well, Sebastian and Axl,
I'm sorry. So this is before you had gone to hang with Axl.
That's right. So I'm supposed to meet him after the show. Okay. This is during the show. Someone comes up to me. You and Sebastian are going on stage to sing Night Train.
And Sebastian, Axl and Baz are close. They're friends. Yeah,
they know each other. Sebastian's already been on stage a couple of times already during the tour,
and he's Canadian.
And that's another thing. Totally, yeah, it was wicked. Meeting him and hanging out with him because we were both from the same suburb, so that was so that was extra cool.
Shit.
Yeah. So I said to the person, no, I'm not supposed to go on stage to sing Night Train with Guns N' Roses. I'm supposed to meet Axl after the show. He doesn't know who I am.
I just see this person with a clipboard going.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you're. Right. Hold on. I'm getting something.
You're on the list.
Okay, yeah, you're going. You're going.
Yeah, and it was a different person, so I thought maybe there was some, misunderstanding. So I kept saying, "No, I'm not going. You don't understand. I know what's going on here."
That's good.
And so they kick into like Night Train. You know how it starts down, 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 down. And Baz is already on stage. He grabs the mic, he runs on stage, and he's doing his Sebastian Bach thing. And I'm still on the side of the stage.
Oh, no.
And I'm still saying no. And then finally, before, I think he started the first verse already, someone just yells at me, "Get the fuck on stage."
You got in trouble.
I was like, all right, man, fine. I'm going to go on stage and we're going to get kicked off this tour because Axl's going to think I'm bum rushing the show, which he has every right to think because he doesn't know me. I'm not getting in trouble here. I swear to God, I was thinking this as I was walking on stage. I am not the reason why we're getting kicked off. And so I'm just like, I see Baz sees me and we do a high five. And I think the first thing that I think is, okay, cool. If Axl saw me be cool with Baz, then I'm cool, right? So I give him a high five, and I'm giving and Baz's guitar player at the time, I can't remember his name. He was also called on stage. Mm-hmm. So he was there, and I gave him a nudge. Yeah, man. Cause we'd already knew each other. And I think Fortis saw me and Bumblefoot. They were, yeah, hey, what's up? And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm cool with the band.
Yeah.
And then I feel this, like someone touches me. I turn around and it's Axl.
Holy
and he just,
shit.
Yeah, he just looks at me and he goes, yeah. And he runs off. He just zooms away. And I started to like be cool. And I was like, okay.
He was happy to see you.
Yeah. And that's how we met. We were supposed to meet after the show, but we met on stage in Saskatoon, whatever arena. That's where I met Axl. And after that, I felt pretty comfortable singing the rest of Night Train.
Oh, good.
But I realized as the tour went on, there is nothing that happens on that stage that Axl doesn't know is happening. Nothing.
That sounds like he knows what he wants, and he's the ultimate pro and doesn't like surprises.
Yeah, and I thought I was surprising him, but I wasn't. And then there was another time on the tour, we were playing in Quebec. I can't remember the city, but it was in the province of Quebec. And someone walked into our dressing room and said, "You're singing Paradise City tonight. With you and Baz are singing Paradise City. You're taking, whatever verse it was, and Baz is taking this verse, and you're going to do it, the three of you." I was like, are you kidding me? Yes. Okay. It's on. So for the whole rest of the day, up until the very last minute of the show, I knew everyone knows the song and I knew the verse, but I just kept singing it over and over and over again in my head. And so it's me and Baz. We have our wireless mics that we're given, and we're ready. We're side stage, and they kick into Paradise City yet again. We're here. We're ready, and they're holding us back. They're like holding us back. Wait for it. And I'm looking at Axl, trying to look at the stage, and he's not looking back at us. He's just doing his Axl thing, and they're waiting. And then I don't know what signal Axl gave them, but they go, "No, it's a no-go. It's not happening tonight, guys." And that was it. And we never. And then I looked at Sebastian, and Sebastian just like shrugged his shoulders, and he's like, "Wow, all right, man." And that was it. And that was all. And then I realized, yeah, nothing happens on that stage that Axl is not aware of. Like somehow, I don't know what it was, but he gave them the signal, no go.
Yeah, we can only guess. There's a high sign he gives, and if he doesn't give it, fuck you.
Yeah,
he wasn't feeling it that night, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
So did you ultimately get to spend some time off stage as was originally planned, and get to hang out and talk? And what was that like?
Three times, Dave.
Yeah, it was amazing. That night in Saskatoon, so I'd already met him on stage. That night, me, Sebastian, and Axl hung out, and there's a lot of people in the room too, and Axl was just basically holding court, telling story after story after story, and you can imagine like the heaviness of each story.
Yeah,
it was like how him and Izzy wrote Welcome to the Jungle, how I can't remember now if it was either Sean Penn or Robert De Niro wanted to beat him up and the other kind of held him back. Like shit, like that kind of level of story, so Shield, he was hanging out with Shields and Yarnell somewhere. I mean, I'm just like, what? Like these are incredible stories, and that's how it was. Like, yeah, it was insane. And I do believe he played a track from some track that I don't know if it was off Chinese Democracy, because Chinese Democracy had already been released, but I don't know if it was a track off the album or never released, and he played it to us. And it was just wild. It was just it's a different environment when you're in Axl's
Orbit. Yeah.
Orbit. Yeah, his orbit. You could feel it immediately. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
So I'm guessing, the same must be true with the Rolling Stones. Tell us about that experience, because that's crazy. That's every band's dream, is to open for the Stones. How did that come about, and what was it like? And was there any rare moments with the Stones?
Well, how it came about is totally off the record. I can't say it on the record, but I could tell you guys off the record. But we did end up on the show, and we didn't get to meet them. But, Charlie Watts, I remember Charlie Watts looking at our drummer's drum kit, just couldn't believe that he was playing a beat up piece of trash. You're talking about a Charlie Watts of the Stones looking at this disgusting beat up drum kit that was playing it in Sault Ste. Marie, the armpit of our province, like 3 days ago in some fucking bar/billiard hall. And Charlie Watts 2 days later is looking at it going, oh my God, like, you play this? I remember that. And I also remember everyone was told during the Stones sound check, this is a club that can hold about 1,200 people.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what we opened up, and it was the first show of their 40 Licks tour. So it was kind of like a practice / rehearsal
warm-up gig.
Production rehearsal.
Yeah. And so unbeknownst to me, I didn't hear anybody say this. They told everybody to stand in the back while the Stones did sound check. I didn't hear that. Our gear was right in the front of the stage, not in the front, but like kind of past the midpoint near the stage. And so we had driven all night. I didn't sleep at all. Me and our drummer at the time had a huge fight, that the night before we got the gig, because we just got it like last minute. And we didn't sleep. We drove all night back home just to make the gig back home in Toronto. And so I was so burnt out. I was sitting on our amps, and the Stones were doing Hot Stuff at sound check. And I just started bawling like a kid. I just started bawling. I couldn't believe that, like, one of my favorite bands, if not, one of my top 5 favorite bands, and everyone's favorite band, was sound checking in front of me. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, I'm getting emotional now. I was fucking blown away. I was like, I started bawling like a baby.
You were feeling that right. I mean, it might as well have been the Beatles. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It might as well have been the Beatles.
Doesn't matter.
It was too much. And that night, so Toronto is kind of like Hollywood North. There's always movies being shot in Toronto, at least even to this day. During the pandemic, there's all kinds of movies being shot here. So Stones are playing. Anyone in the Hollywood A and B list who are in town. So there was Kate Hudson at the gig. Dennis Quaid was at the gig. And what's her face? The Steven Tyler's daughter.
Liv
Tyler was there. I didn't see them, but everybody who was there was saying that those were the 3 people there. Mm-hmm. And then nobody told me, but every Ford model at the Ford modeling agency in the Toronto branch was invited and showed up to the gig. I didn't know. So we had played, and I was just like, wow, we played, we toweled off, we're getting ready for the Stones. And I'm looking around, I'm like, how is it? I've been to shows in Toronto my whole life, and I have never been to a show where I have seen the most amount of not just hot women, like ridiculously over the top hot women. I've never, what is going on? And then someone told me they're all from the Ford modeling agency.
They heard Danko Jones was in town.
That's right, bro. I was gonna say. What do you mean?
I was just like, okay, so that's the hottest girl I've ever seen. Not just like at a show like in the city ever. And then you look, wait a minute. That's the hottest. Like it was like that.
Wow.
And
follow the yellow brick road. It gets sweeter as you go. Yeah.
It was just like, it blew my mind until someone said, oh, they're all from Ford. And so then I was like, oh, right. I'm at a Stones gig. Right. Of course. I should have known that.
Yeah.
So, because I just, you just lapse into like, oh, a gig,
Yeah.
And we've all been to a gig where like, oh, yeah. And it's a lot of it, considering the kind of music we all like, it's always sausage parties for the most part. So when there's like a really pretty girl, it's kind of like, wow. But no, there was like 150 of them.
Right. Well,
I've still never been to a show like that. And they were more of the show than the band.
So some kind of panic attack starting to happen until someone, no, dude, it's cool. They're just a bunch of models. So don't worry. There's no chance of any of them wanting to talk to us.
Right. It was like that.
Just pretend that they're mirage.
Yeah, it was that. When someone told me they were all models, I was like, oh, okay. Like, okay. Like,
I need to settle down. I need to stop. Yeah,
there's
throw it out the
way. Right.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I don't know that's pretty funny. There's a few points that I'm taking away from this. I love it that you got emotional. I love that.
Oh, yeah. But then I had to turn around and go to the back of the room where all the other guys are. And I can't let them see that I was bawling. So I had to do one of those things.
You had to towel off. Right.
Towel off. Exactly.
Yeah. Suck it up. Yeah. Right. And then I love it that that you couldn't figure out why you were like, on a planet P with Barbarella and her sisters. And then and then you had to be told, no, dude, calm down. What the hell do you think, man? They're from a modeling agency.
It's so true.
Smack you around a little bit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and all the off the record stuff, I'll tell you guys later.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah, nice. that's fine. Whatever you're feeling, that's cool. Listen, I feel like I want to confess a couple of things while we have you on the Talk Louder podcast. First off, We Sweat Blood is my favorite record.
Man.
Do you hear that a lot?
No, not at all.
Really?
No.
Because I'm not alone. There's a certain circle, every member of Broken Teeth, that is with me on this. And it doesn't mean that, I got a white Cadillac. I'm going to go backwards, but I'm going to, you know that already. I'm a total fan. I like everything you do, but what were you, there's a few of us that need to know, what were you eating for breakfast when you wrote those songs? Because that's what I want to eat every fucking day.
I don't know. Like, to be honest with you, those We Sweat Blood and Sleep Is the Enemy weren't the easiest albums to make because we were so under the gun with touring commitments and we didn't have enough material. There's a couple of songs there that were pulled from like old ideas because we just didn't have enough. And I remember, desperately trying to write the album and not having enough riffs, and we learned from that with all the records we do now, to be more prepared. But we were just so under the gun. We had to write something.
Wow, that's interesting that you had this sort of, for lack of a better term, fear that it wasn't going to grow legs because you felt ill prepared, and that it be such a stomping monster.
Yeah.
No,
it's a mean ass record.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man. It was done in a studio that wasn't really a studio. We were kind of the guinea pigs of the studio. Mm-hmm. So we got a discounted rate. I don't think that even exists anymore. The studio, and mixed it and mastered it at Polar Studios, which is in Stockholm, where Zeppelin did In Through the Outdoor, and ABBA recorded all their albums.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you track the record there in Stockholm as well?
No, it was tracked in Toronto at this like kind of makeshift studio. But then we did a few tracks, like since we were all there in Stockholm with the mixer and the producer. Right. There was, I think I know we did vocals there for a couple of tracks, and Dragan from the Backyard Babies, he just drove over there to the studio and did backup vocals. But I think I laid down some guitar that needed to be done very quickly, but that's about the tracking we did. We just mixed and mastered it there.
My son loves Code of the Road. He's 13 now, and when that came out, he was probably, I don't know, how old is that? 2-3 years now, maybe more than that.
Oh God, it's
Never Too Loud, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's like 14 years old now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's old.
Yeah.
Let me look at the scribes here. Never Too Loud is 2008.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So he got turned on to 13. It after the fact, but he was listening to it in my car, and he got hooked on that album, actually. Code of the Road, of course, being the opening track and being super catchy and hooky, but that whole album got constant rotation in my car every time me and my son would go out. King of Magazines is another great one. I mean, that's We Sweat Blood is probably my favorite Danko record, but Never Too Loud is pretty good, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, that was
the influence. I can hear I want to talk about your influences after we, kind of go down a couple of more records, but I feel like Code of the Road. Also, the video you had had some guest stars in there.
Yeah,
that's right. Jim was in there. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
The bus driver.
Yeah.
He was in town. He just happened to be in town for what's that comedy? It was with him and Sal and a couple of Stern guys, and Beetlejuice was there. They're on tour. And so Jim was in town. So we were like, hey, you want to be in our video? And so he was like, yeah, he had nothing else to do. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun that he was in it. Oh man, I totally forgot he was in it, because I was like,
how could you forget that Jim Florentine was
I know.
I mean, Special Ed was in your video. And
exactly.
You let Special Ed drive the bus? Was it a short bus?
It was I totally forgot about it.
It was a good time. Hanging out with Jim, sometimes you get some free ones. It tells you some free jokes and shit.
So we can't have the two of you together on this podcast without talking about Viva La Rock Fantastico, Broken Teeth record that Danko did guest vocals on 2 tracks. So tell us how that came about, and just share some of that experience, because Viva. I flip a coin and it's different every day, but Viva stands up as one of Broken Teeth's strongest albums, in my opinion.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, how
did you, obviously you guys were friends and connected and all that, but you're in Canada, Jason's in Austin. But then you did do the video where you're walking down the street with a handheld camera, and
one of my favorite videos I've ever done.
Yeah, it's like punk rock, man.
He killed it. He killed it. I love the song. I love the video. I love what Danko did on that. But I don't like my footage because I didn't know where to look. I didn't know where the camera eye was on the stupid stick. And Danko's looking right at it, and he's just spinning around. He's looking right at it the whole time. And if you watch that fucking video, you can see me kind of like, where do I look?
Yeah.
Where do I look? So I kind of fucked up my own video.
Jason's probably trying not to trip over a curb at the same time, So
we were walking around and all this stuff in the parking lot. It was wild. I thought it was one of the most fun videos, and it took about as long as it took to film it to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you film that on Red River? Were you guys walking down Red River Street?
It was 7th and like Trinity.
Okay, so it's downtown Austin.
It was the Rock Fest.
Yeah.
So Danko, how did you come to be to appear on those two tracks on that record? Did you send in your vocals via email, or how did that work out?
I believe I did.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I did, and I think I recorded it through our guy Vic Florentia. Vic Florentia. He engineered my vocals for Broken Teeth, and he was actually the mixer for We Sweat Blood. So he mixed We Sweat Blood in Polar.
See how that
in
worked
Stockholm.
out? That's full. That's full circle there. Yep.
Yeah. So I hit up Vic for when I do vocals and stuff. I haven't hit him up since the pandemic, obviously, but hopefully I will soon. But yeah, for that one I did
Danko,
too.
when we're done with this, you should call your friend Vic. just reach out. Just reach out, though. You know, I just want to call and say hi.
Oh yeah, we're in touch. I mean, he's
good.
He's our bro. So yeah, like I think I did it with Vic, and it was 2 songs, and yeah, I think we hit them both in one session.
Yeah, and the songs are the title track, Viva La Rock Fantastico, and the other is Big Spender, I believe.
I love that song. I love that song.
So anyone out there listening that has Broken Teeth's Viva La Rock at home, next time you spin it, take an extra listen to those songs, because Danko's in the background or right there alongside Jason singing vocals with him.
Yeah, he has his own verse. That's Danko on the second verse, and then in Big Spender, I was planning on doing the same thing, but you followed my you followed the lines in Jared, guitar player, producer of Broken Teeth. He liked it. He liked us just kind of gang vocaling all the way, so we just left Big Spender like that.
Yeah,
those were the last 2. This is kind of a little nugget. Those were the last 2 songs that I wrote for those sessions, and we had a shit ton of material. And because we had been on the road a lot, and I was writing in the back of the bus, just had a little thing and plugged the guitar in, headphones, just writing, drum machine, blah, blah, blah. We were in the, tons of material. I don't know, 30 songs, and we're in the studio. And it was like we were only going to be in there like another, we'd been in there a couple of weeks. We were only going to be in there for another, because we were flushing out what song. We're trying to pick songs, right?
Yeah.
And one night mid-session, I guess, we had like maybe 10 more days or something. And man, I just picked up a guitar, and those 2 songs hit me like a hammer. Both of those 2 songs. And when Jared heard them, he was like, well, those have to be on the record. You should call Danko. I'm like, what are you talking about? You got to ask Danko if he'll sing on one of these. And I go, well, if I'm going to reach out to him to be on one of them, I'm going to go, how many would you like to do?
Oh shit, I'll do all of them.
Yeah. Here, I'm just handing you the mic.
Yeah, I was ready.
And then you did it live. You did it. We kind of, that South by Southwest gig, which is where we shot the video for Viva. You came up with Broken Teeth and did that song live.
Yeah, I remember that too. I mean, the photo is in our book, right?
Yeah, the photo from that, right? Yep.
Yeah.
So there's another. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think there's another Danko Broken Teeth connection, and Broken Teeth had a T-shirt and a hoodie design where the artwork was done by Away, the drummer for Voivod. And Jason, if I'm correct, has told me that happened because of your friendship with Away, and somehow you made that connection happen. And anybody that's been to the Broken Teeth website and has bought a T-shirt or a hoodie or whatever, I'm talking specifically about the design that sort of, I call it the marching pitchforks, because it's kind of, it's almost it's kind of a Pink
Floyd. That's perfect, because that's what it's called, Dave.
It's obviously Away's artwork, right?
So army of pitchforks, but the marching pitchforks. Yes.
Yeah. It's the design that's not the skull with the lightning bolts.
Yeah, that's right.
So Danko, tell us how, number one, how you, obviously you and the Voivod guys are both from Canada, but how did you become friendly with Voivod and specifically Away? And then how did you bridge that gap to where we ended up with Broken Teeth t-shirts with Away's artwork on them?
Funny you bring that up. I was just wearing it like 2-3 days ago. The Broken Teeth Away shirt.
You're wearing Away's artwork right now.
I thought I saw that when you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Can you show us your
Probot?
Yeah.
Probot.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Away's art right there.
And it glares on the thing, but I would show you the Away's artwork is right there too.
Oh,
so.
I'm sure we've got Away's art. Everyone has Away's art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they're missing out.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
one of a kind.
I think people are just too scared to ask him, but he's more than willing to do artwork for it. I think he really enjoys it and wants to do more. It's just, I think people automatically assume it's just for Voivod. I mean, when he did our t-shirt designs too, and he said, well, what do you want me to do? I go, do Voivod, man, like make it look Voivodian,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I saw, this will kind of answer Dave's question. I was trying to bite my tongue, but I think you sent me a Danko Jones patch, and it had Away. It was Away. It said Danko Jones. It's Away's art. Do you recall?
I don't remember that. Though okay. I don't rule it out either. I can't remember.
And I asked you about it. Oh shit, that's Away's art. And he's like, oh yeah, he's a friend of mine. I was like, hey, well, do you think that you could like maybe see if he could do some Broken Teeth? And you were like, oh my God, yeah, here's his email address. Just fucking do it. And it was like that easy.
Yeah,
you were basically, oh yeah, you were just like, you don't need me. Here you go. But I did. Yeah. I think you did the introduction via email, and it was
totally.
It was done like that, and I just emailed him what I wanted, and he just whipped it right out. So
yeah, he's a wicked guy and really nice, down to earth dude. I mean, I met him 22 years ago. I don't even remember now.
I opened for Voivod in '86.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
It was Watchtower, Voivod, and Celtic Frost.
Oh my God. That Jesus Christ.
Into the Pandemonium tour.
Oh, I do like that album.
So it was Piggy.
Yeah. Like over the years, between the 4 original dudes, I've had different encounters, and with them, being so close, even though they're in another province, like, Canadian heavy music will eventually meet up if you want it to.
Yes.
And I wanted to meet, Voivod and stuff. So eventually I met all 4 guys individually. And I have to say, Blackie was in and out, but I mean, with Away, Piggy, and Snake, how I met those guys was, oh my God, incredible. Like, just each one was just the best way to meet them. And Piggy was the best too, like, because we played in Montreal, and one of the roadies for the club said, do you like Voivod? And I go, yeah. Oh, I know. I think it was it was already known that I liked Voivod, because we opened for Snake's band, his solo band, previously. And so the next time we came, this roadie guy knew that I liked Voivod, and he goes, you like Voivod, Piggy's coming tonight, and he's coming to see you guys because he loves your band. And I was like, are you fucking kidding? How does that, what? I didn't even know how does that work? And so, you're supposed to stay in the dressing room and just, that's what I do. I stay in the dressing room and I'm just getting ready for the show. But knowing that Piggy was coming to the gig, I pretty much staked out the door. I just was right at the door. Yeah, I was just at the door. Yeah. People coming to see us were walking in going, oh, hi. Like, the guy that is singing in the band is right there. But I would be like, yeah, hi.
You're
hi.
out front wearing your Superman suit instead of your Clark Kent suit.
Exactly. And I was just kind of like, yeah, hi. Yeah, I'll see you on stage later. And I was just waiting and then when Piggy came in, I just did a beeline for him. I'm like, holy cow, I'm a big fan,
Yeah.
And we exchanged contact, and there's some photos from that meeting as well. And you could tell I'm in seventh heaven meeting Piggy, and
beautiful.
That was amazing. Yeah. All those guys are so amazingly nice, and just they're really everything that you want when you grow up, loving a band, and especially because it's Canadian. There's an extra kind of thing like they're doing the thing for the country type vibe. And
sure.
Well, and they're the real deal. They created their own everything.
Yeah,
their
everything.
Own, yeah, they're their own. They're their own thing. There's not another band like that. Watchtower is comparable by that way that we created our own thing, and it goes and goes and goes, but it doesn't happen all the time. And the only Piggy story I have is it's sound check or something, and he's holding. Remember those guitars? He made those fucking guitars.
Yeah, they look like
those, and they look like weapons.
Yeah.
And I'm like standing there.
Glass.
Yeah, and I'm just standing there with my drooling, and I'm just going, holy shit, look at these things. And he's just warming up, and there's a couple laying around, and I'm like, what? Blackie's basses, whatever, right? Because he made all that shit.
Yeah.
Lower bass, yeah.
What? And he's like kind of like smiling, he's digging it that I'm like, I had some friends with me, and I'm like, where would one get one of these? And it was so early. I mean, 86, their English was still a little bit broken. It wasn't as fluent as, the other guys have now, but he was just like, I make. And I was like, you make? And he's like, I make.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's all I needed to know. I was a bigger fan after that.
Wow.
My very first stage dive was a Voivod concert on the Dimension Hatros tour.
I can't say that.
Dimension Hatros. It was in a club in San Antonio, and I got on stage and did my very first stage dive. I was very proud of that.
Were you caught? Did they catch you?
I was caught, yes.
Okay, all right.
I did not hit the floor, thankfully.
Does Danko Jones do stage dives?
Yeah, but I stopped when I was not caught. So
I get it.
Yeah, I fell on my back, and I was like, I'm done. And I think it was during a COC, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I used to do them as well, but I think I just wanted us. Oh yeah, I got old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
I was like, that's
so. Danko, I've always thought your name was really cool. So, and this is a geeky, nerdy question, but this is a geeky, nerdy podcast. So, what are the origins of your name, Danko? Where did that come from? Is that a family name, or?
I don't know. It's just my name. I mean, I've been asked that many times.
Yeah.
And I don't really have an answer to it.
Well, I think it's a cool name, and I was just on behalf of myself and our fans, I wanted to know if there was any interesting story behind it.
I wish I had one for you.
You just got lucky and had a cool name.
No, I wish I had something for you.
So here's another nerdy question
behind that at all.
No, but speaking of away, he did baptize me. My Voivodian name is Dankoid.
Hey, there you go. I think with Voivod, if you add oid to anything, it's
Voivod. I guess so.
Yeah.
I think Jason Newsted's Voivodian name was J-Sonic.
That's right. J-Sonic.
Yes. Yeah. So another nerdy question. Your look is very distinctive. Your guys in your band, you all dress in all black, and you've got the shaved head. Was there ever a time in your earlier days when you had long hair and you were a metalhead, or when did you stop growing your hair and shaving your head?
I grew my hair when I was in just about to graduate high school, my last year of high school, into my first year in university, and I just kept rolling it up into a ball and putting it under a baseball hat. And then finally I'm like, well, look, this is so much work.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys do it. And that it started to dread. I just refused to like bother combing it out because that's what you had to do. I don't know how you guys do it. And then it just dreaded. And there was like one huge dread and then two other ones. And I was done. And I remember when I was going to school and I got off the bus because the bus drove by a hair salon. And I was just like, fuck it. I got off the bus and I walked right in and I missed my first period just because I just wanted it off. And when she cut it off, it was just her and me in the whole salon. So luckily, because I noticed I had huge bald spots from the dreading. And I started to cry in the hair salon. I'm like, oh my God. And she's like, no, it's going to grow back. She's like consoling me. And sure enough, by like the next day I could see that it was, it was going back and stuff like that. But that was traumatic. And so I did have long hair, but I realized like, oh man, I just don't have the patience to the maintenance is just too much, man. I don't know how you do it.
Well, Jason will tell you, I used to have hair pretty much halfway down my chest. And then I realized at one point that I'm spending 90% of my life with it in a ponytail.
Yeah, exactly.
And I live in Texas where it's friggin' 100 degrees, 6 months out of the year. And so I just cut it off and have kept it more like at this length ever since. But
sometimes it just takes a while for people to just get smart. And I just haven't reached that point in my life yet. So the way that I heard about Danko Jones, I've told Dee this story before. Broken Teeth was starting to get more overseas fans, just some emails and stuff. And we had, terrible distribution, but good enough to where some people were hearing about the band. And, Jim Florentine heard about the band on his own, and he was in New Jersey. Yeah. Well, to get to my story, it must have been at least 2002. And I know that it had to be at least 2002 because I got an email just through the website or whatever. A woman by the name of Alison Murray from Edinburgh, Scotland, sends me just, found Broken Teeth, love it. Oh my God, love that style, da-da-da-da-da. And I thank you, awesome. Yeah, let me know, make sure, stay in touch, right? So just out of like, just chat, it's like, we go see this guy from Canada, Danko Jones, and we love him, and telling me just foaming at the mouth about being a Danko fan. And I'm like, sorry, you're cooler than me. I don't know about that. I don't know what is a Danko Jones, right? And so she burns me some CDs. And it was Born a Lion, and I think something else. It was some like
I'm Alive and on Fire, maybe.
That's right. That's right. And that's not in your discography in this book either.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's beside the point. So I get I'm Alive and on Fire, and I get and they're burned CDs, so they're handwritten. I may still have them, dude. And so, but she also puts in the first Darkness release.
Right.
It might have been an EP or something, and it had Get Your Hands Off of My Woman, Motherfucker, and it had some other stuff. And so I go to the P.O. box, I open it up, and I'm like, holy shit, you know what I mean? So for whatever reason, I put the Darkness in, and I'm just trying to not have any expectation whatsoever. And the Darkness comes on, and the guy starts singing, and I almost had a wreck. I ejected it and threw it out the window.
Oh my God.
And I don't have a problem saying that. Next up, I just grabbed one of the other ones, which was a Danko Jones. I don't remember which one. And It was the complete opposite. The shit lived in my CD player for months and months and months. And I turned everyone in the world that were in front of me, yelling out the window, whoever would listen to me freak out on this new band, Danko Jones. I started to come up with a Danko Jones army in at least my vicinity. Where I was, you were going to hear about motherfucking Danko Jones.
It's true.
And everybody around here knows that, and they're like, yeah, okay, we know. Yeah, we know. And so I immediately, that night, I think I got home and I just emailed Allison back, and I think it was all caps, and I was just like, oh my God, and she's like, I knew it. I knew that you were going to totally right away. And she started talking about all these gigs that you went to at a club called King Tut's.
Yeah, King Tut's, yeah.
Had it right. So does this sound like 2002 to you?
Yeah. 2002, we played King Tut's on the Born Aligned tour for sure.
So
yeah, absolutely.
What year is it right now? It's almost 2022.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be 2022.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Where did the decades go?
I don't know, man.
Because I feel like that moment was yesterday. I don't know if that's how I don't know if that's how rock and roll works, but I think that it is. I still have that electricity, that feeling. I still have it every time I hear those songs. And and we all know as fans that's how our brain works, that's our music works. We remember the smell, we remember where we were, what we were driving when a certain song comes on. And I just had to tell that story because Allison's like a hero. Because she knew that it's like, oh shit, well, I'll throw in the darkness too. And I was like, I still can't deal with the darkness. I just can't.
I can vouch for that story because I'm one of the people that Jason was like in my ear going.
I called you that night. Probably. Oh my God! I just.
Well, then you either gave me the burned CDs that you speak of, or else you made burned copies of those because I still have them in my collection. I'm Alive and on Fire, and then I have a one that just says Danko Jones 2002, and they're over there in my CD collection.
Okay, well, and Danko, I'm sorry that I bootlegged your shit.
Oh no, are you kidding me?
It was for a good cause because then I became a fan and started buying the proper CDs and going to the concerts, and then I became one of the blabber people that wouldn't stop talking about Danko.
The Danko Army. So anyway, so it wasn't long after that I see Turbo Negros coming through Austin playing.
Yeah, 03, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not long after this is all happening, like just a couple of months later, and I see in small letters Danko Jones, and I think I did a backflip. And I was just like, I don't know what a Turbo Negro is.
Oh, wow.
I don't, and they're not on my radar. Am I in trouble by saying I don't get it?
No. I mean, I love that. I love Turbo Negro, and we were opening for him. We were opening for him.
Yes. So I go to the show, and all I can think about is Danko Jones. I don't even care about Turbo Negro. I just feel like one of those people. It's like, I'm here to see the opening band, and then I'm leaving. It's one of those bad attitude. Well, I still have a bad attitude. So anyway. I see the show, and dude, don't take this the wrong way, and I know that you won't, but I feel like I have to say, because I kind of feel bad when I say there's only like 10 of us hugging the stage.
I remember.
And then there's like a space where there should be a pit or something, and then there's people in the back like, oh yeah, so I'm too cool to, their back, the back's facing you. Until their backs were not fit, because I know how you are.
Yeah.
You turn the haters around.
Yeah. Is this the show? Is this the same show that you took me to? And I think this might be the night I met Danko on the sidewalk outside Emo's.
So I walk in with a whole posse, and then I think I blew everyone off and just started following Danko around, because after the show, you came in. You were walking around, and I was like, should I talk to him?
Yeah, I remember when you came up to me, and I remember, and you were talking to me, and I was like, "Fuck, have I met this guy before? And then you said, you know, I was in Dangerous Toys, and then everything kind of jigsawed together, and I'm like, what? Like, what? Wow! Like, touring America is cool. You know, that was what I thought. You know,
but when I was in the front row, there was a guy right next to me who was going to college in like Houston or Dallas. I'm sorry, he was in Austin from somewhere else, and he had driven to Austin to see the show. He knew all the words to all of your songs, and I'm like rocking out, and I'm trying to grab the words that I know, and I'm looking at this guy whose shoulder is like, you know, we're together, you know, we're Siamese twins, Danko freaks, right? And I'm noticing that he knows every fucking word, and after your set, I'm like looking at him, hey man, excuse me, how do you know who what? And he's like, oh, I'm a huge fan, and I'm from, I wish I would have befriended the guy, but he knew all your shit, and he was a huge fan. And here I've just felt left out. I was like, damn, there's someone here who's a bigger Danko fan than me. Shit, I gotta up my game.
Jason's touching on a point that I'd like to expand on here for just a minute, because we're sitting here talking to Danko, and he's a very humble, reserved, gentle, you know, personality. But oh my God, on stage, just forget about it. Dude, he's like a rabid animal. And like you said, Jason, it's like if you're in that venue and you don't know who Danko Jones is, you're gonna snap around and you're gonna know who Danko Jones is by the time you leave. And it's almost like he's on a mission, you know.
Oh yeah,
and it's just fierce. And that's the only word like I can come up with.
Saying a second ago, if you're there to hate because you're wearing a Turbo Negro jacket or whatever, I'm just using them as a guinea pig, I don't mean any harm, and you're like, who's this opening band? I'm here to see the headliner, and you're with the cool kids, you turn around more than once and you're going, damn, this guy's fucking serious at least one time, and that is a savior of rock and roll on the stage.
Thank you, man. Thanks, guys. This is wow. It's a lot to take in. Thank you.
In my eyes, and where a lot of it was going, and it's part of the reason that me and Paul and Bruce formed Broken Teeth, was there was a point around the late 90s and early 2000s that, you know, new shit would come on the radio, and people, this is the new Motley Crue, this is the new Roses, this is the new dirty rock and roll, this is the new, you know, eyeliner rock, this is the new, and I would hear all these bands, and Buck Cherry was one of those bands, and there might have been a couple more, and I was like, and I like some Buck Cherry, I can rock out to some Buck Cherry. They're a bit of a powerhouse. I have a couple of their records, and I'm going, but this is it. This is what it's going to be like. And so I wanted to, like, you know, I mean, I was still doing Dangerous Toys, but we had waned quite a bit, and I had time on my hands, so it was, I'm going to get my friends together and form another episode, right? Another avenue to save the world of crappy rock. So, you know, to fight out crappy rock, you know. So, and then it wasn't long after that I heard Danko Jones, and I was like, and it has begun, right? He's like, oh, there were volcanic eruptions and things like that. I want to just like skid, like totally slam on the brakes and say, you know, how did you, and I know the answer to this, but what was the band, the record, the radio station, the DJ, the 45, that made you wake to, like, you see something and you're like, oh my God, I have to do this for the rest of my life. What is it for Danko?
Well, I mean, you know the answer. I mean,
I do know
Kiss.
the answer, but I need,
yeah, Kiss. I mean, for many reasons. But what initially hooked me was the fact that they wore makeup. I couldn't see the color of their skin. and I was an only child, and I pretended that they were my brothers and cousins. You know, being an only child, I didn't have any family here. All family was. I didn't grow up. I grew up as a single, an only child with mom and dad, but that was it. And so I wanted to hang with cousins, and I wanted to have a brother, and so Kiss were kind of the surrogate cousins and brothers for me. Because I couldn't see the color of their skin, I pretended that they weren't white, even though I kind of knew they were. And so that, I think, has a really deep, profound foundation for me liking that band. And then I don't know if it's chicken or egg situation, but I just ended up really liking the music too. And thank God for that, because if it sounded like, you know, I don't know, late Chicago stuff, it would have been hard to kind of piece together how much I like it or not.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you think it was a visual that you saw before you heard? You can't remember.
No, I can. I got my mom to buy me a Kiss album before I even knew what they sounded like, because they weren't on the radio. They weren't, TV never showed them. You just see their face on, I guess, magazines, or when you go to the fairground, they're always selling mirrors of Kiss or something. You know, we're going way back. And and you kind of piece together what this whole thing is, and you realize, oh, they're like a music thing.
How old were you?
I was 6. And so I was in grade 1. Yeah. And so in the back of Alive, so my mom said, okay, you could choose one album. And I chose Alive, even though I wanted Destroyer or Love Gun. I saw like there was a booklet in there, and you got more bang for your buck. And I knew I had one shot at this. So I took the double album, and there is an address. If you look on early pressings, I don't know if it's still on there, but the address is, my mom said, if you write a letter, I will send it in. And that's the address. Yeah. And that's the address that I sent it in. And I got a response from Kiss. And so that also solidified my fandom forever.
Wow.
And they're really smart about that, because it really hooked kids like me for life.
So, stupid question. Was it a personalized letter from the band, or was it some stationery that came, you know, it was just, but it was good enough for you, right? It's like, response.
Yeah, it was, obviously whoever received the letter knew it was a kid. So
P.O. Box 5272, Grand Central Station, New York, 10017.
Doubt it's still active.
Right.
Yeah. But
P.O. Box.
Yeah, I know. So I got 2 like school folders. One was double platinum, and one was all the 4 Kiss solo albums.
Tell me you still have those.
No, I don't. And then I had 5 8x10 glossies that I obviously don't have, but I found the actual photos and the glossies on eBay. I bought them only to find out when I got it, they were color photo scans. So I got ripped off. But I do have the actual, not the actual, but a copy of the pictures that I initially received from the Kiss Army.
Wow. Very cool.
So, yeah.
Very
so
cool.
that's what it is, you know, and they're a really smart band to do that, because even though they got made fun of by all the older Kiss fans, they just waited till all those young kids grew up, and now their career is gone, can keep going till they die.
Yeah. So we have Kiss to thank for Danko Jones. How about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, I wanted to do like a real quick round of a rapid fire round with Danko here. I want you to name your favorite album by, I'm gonna pick 3 bands that are obvious influences for you, and I just want you to rattle off your favorite album by each band. We'll start with Motorhead.
I don't know. I think Overkill or Rock and Roll or 1916.
Ooh,
Wow.
1916 is an underdog. I love that record. Good choice.
I recently re-listened to it and realized how much I love it.
That is a good one. Thin Lizzy.
I fuck, I don't know. Maybe Johnny the Fox, Chinatown. No, Chinatown.
Yeah.
We're all on the same page here, and we already talked about Kiss. Let's do AC/DC.
I guess, Highway to Hell and Back in Black. But if I was to choose an alternate from the usual, for those about to rock, I think, although that's part of the usual, isn't it?
No, not really.
well.
That one kind of falls outside.
Or Power Rage. Power Rage.
There you go.
Yeah,
ding, ding, ding.
yeah. Sorry, I always forget about that. But yeah.
No, it's fine. I put you on the spot anyway. So
That was the record they first came to America on. Pretty sure.
Oh,
that
I
right?
think that would be actually the one.
Maybe,
Although, yeah.
Maybe it was High Voltage, and then that one they came, because I always throw in If You Want Blood, You Got It, the live album, because it, much like Kiss Alive, it's like a greatest hits.
Yeah, I had.
Even though they were doing highway songs, Highway to Hell songs on that tour, none of those made that cut.
So we're talking about the excitement of live albums by some of our favorite bands, and we're talking to a guy who fronts one of the great live bands that's on the circuit right now. So it's obvious. I got to ask, can we expect a live Danko Jones album in the future, especially now that you've amassed a catalog of killer tunes? Can we capture that fire on a record anytime?
We do have a live, but it's only for streaming. Like it's live at Gröna Lund, which is Gröna Lund is in Stockholm. It's kind of like like a fairground where there's a stage there. So we recorded it and we released it years ago on Spotify.
Ah, okay. So, but no hard copies of anything.
No, there's been people who like our band who've pressed their own copies of it, but that's it. So if you see it on Discogs, it's probably that guy. There's one guy who keeps pressing stuff, and it's cool. He gives us a copy of it. He lives in Germany, but he uploads it to.
It's on vinyl live.
Well, he does like 5 to 10 copies, and then he presses it and posts it on Discogs. So I think it drives collectors crazy.
Yeah, because it's not an official. It's not available ultimately.
Yeah, so he gives us a copy each,
and then you have some live DVDs. You have live.
That's right.
DVDs out that people can.
But I hate live. I don't really like doing live albums, and I don't really like listening to live albums. I really don't.
Really? Because to me, your band is to me, your forte is live. As much as I love the studio recordings and the songs and the songwriting, to me, the Danko Jones experience is on stage, sweating.
Well, thanks, but I just. Okay, so every time we've done something live, we know that it's being recorded, and that I don't know why, but it just I get
gets under your skin.
Yeah, I just get too aware, and I psych myself out.
Yeah.
So we did a live DVD and an album actually live at Voivod and Open Air. It is on vinyl.
Oh,
and that's actually on vinyl.
Okay.
Officially. And I don't like the performance. I was just too aware that we were being recorded and videotaped, and this was going to be pressed and released. And I just screwed. There's so many screw ups, like where I screw up lyrics and I make mistakes. And it was. Ugh.
So you didn't have a chance to clean it up like Kiss did.
We did. Oh, not like they did, but we did kind of clean it up with like editing out certain things. But we didn't re-record anything over it, which I now understand why Kiss did that, because you do kind of psych yourself out if you know that they're recording.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in your defense, I mean, your lyrics are. I mean, it's not some simple verse, chorus, verse. You're spitting out some tongue twister stuff. And
sometimes,
I don't even know how you keep all those lyrics in your brain, because your songs have a lot of words and you're spitting them out rapid fire too. So.
Lots of fuck ups. Too many, actually. I mean, we just played a show last week, and I was so worried about screwing up, and we didn't screw up at all. So
Well, for what it's worth, I highly encourage our listeners, our audience, if you ever get a chance to go see Danko Jones, you will have your face blown off, screw ups or not. So definitely, definitely a massive badass live attraction. So check them
Yeah,
out.
you kind of bring it live. You're not fucking around. So it's kind of it's an easy way to
borderline scary.
Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. If there's haters out there, he scares them into coming up front. It's like, damn, I better pay attention.
Yeah.
Dude's getting mad,
We just played a show in Calgary. That was our first show in 17 months since the Junkyard shows. And right before we went on, they played Bohemian Rhapsody, and the song ends with Nothing Really Matters. And I just remember, and then I just did a whole rap against the song. And how I was just started screaming at the audience after I think we did 3 songs, and then I get to talk, and I said hello and whatever, and then I just railed in on Bohemian Rhapsody and how I think it's lame that Freddie Mercury thinks nothing really matters. And so I told them what I think really matters, which is rock and roll. And so that kind of thing just comes out, And I never have had, I had nothing prepared. Like I didn't even 17 months. I'm walking on stage. I have nothing prepared. And the DJ before the gig plays Bohemian Rhapsody, and it ends with Nothing Really Matters. And I was on the side stage going, nothing really matters. What the fuck? I never realized it ends like that. You know what fucking matters to me is fucking rock and roll. Oh, this is what I will talk about.
That's right.
So I just walked on stage and I just did this whole thing about Bohemian Rhapsody fucking pissing me off.
Well, I call that work in the room, because
work in the room, man.
I can relate. I don't know what shit I'm gonna say in between songs. I work the room. I'm extremely happy to be there solely because I'm playing rock and roll. That's what matters. Is I get to do this, and we're all here in a room together, and we're feeding off each other, and that's the only thing that matters. So, I can relate to that. I think that as a front man, it's okay to go in with nothing, because next thing you know, you got a bunch of new friends, and you're just commenting on the light.
Yeah.
Whatever comes to you. Yeah, it's great. So
it's great.
I sent you one of these.
Oh, wow. I haven't gotten that yet. That's awesome.
The post office is slow. This is brought to us. This is brought to us by Three-Headed Dog Clothing here in Austin. They have a website. People can look it up. Three-Headed Dog Clothing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I sent you a black one, and this one is pink. It's not hot pink. It's kind of bubblegum, I guess.
It looks purple on my screen. But.
Oh, yeah, right on. Well, we could call it purple.
The skate deck?
Yeah, yep. This is a skate deck. I kept this one, D, because it has the grip tape already on it in case I wanted to put some trucks and wheels on it. And the one I sent you is more set to be a wall hanger for decorative purposes, but it's the same print. And for listeners, yeah, it's totally awesome. For listeners, it's you're on top at the head. It's a still taken from the
first
date video, and then there's some live shots. There's JC in the middle.
Oh, wicked!
And then here you are over here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it's fucking rad.
It's wicked.
Rad. So my buddy David Haley put these together, and there's only 2 of a kind at the moment.
Wow!
But if you look up Three-Headed Dog and you ask about these, I don't know how Danko feels about just the fandom of this. It's appropriate to say that my friend Mr. Haley heard Viva. He was listening to some Broken Teeth, and he's like, "Who's Danko Jones? It says he's singing on this." I'm like, "Dude, go look him up and listen to it." And like every day he started going, "Oh my God, that dude rules!" and da 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 da.
Oh wow!
He's the guy that does all this kind of. It's a clothing, they do hats and shoes and whatever. And
is that like a Roky Erickson type reference there?
What?
The three-headed dog.
Oh,
Yeah,
it might be, but I thought the Rocky Erickson was two-headed dog. I've been working
Is
in the
it
crib
two-headed?
with a
Oh.
two-headed dog. Yeah, but
yeah.
good
Could be a
play
play on
there.
it.
Yeah. Anyway, wanted to show this one off. There, just wanted to say that there's one of these in the mail to you.
Oh man, I can't wait to get it. You know,
Let me
I know
know
it's
when you get
coming,
it.
but
Yeah.
it's there's been things sent to me from the States that just sit for weeks.
Okay.
And
But
that's just how it is
You're
during
getting
the
my stuff
pandemic.
because I sent you the Godzilla Motor Company CD.
Yep.
And you got
That's it. I think it's like that was like a small little thing that they can just
so this is in like a huge box you could put a
Yeah.
dead body in.
yeah.
And that's probably the holdup. They think they're expecting it to make sure it's not a dead body.
We better
kind
hold on
of.
to this one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing. If it's not from Amazon, I think they just go, whoa.
Right. Texas. Oh man.
We've heard about those people.
You know, I could go on and on and on and just hang out with you in a Zoom room, Danko, but
Same here.
yeah, I just feel like we should let you have some dinner.
Yeah.
It is dinner time. Yeah. I do have to walk Ralph very soon.
Okay.
Because I can hear him. I don't know if you guys can hear him, but he's whining.
No, we don't hear that.
Okay. That's why I was looking down a couple of times.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
So you got a new record out, Power Trio. It's coming out late August, the 27th. I'm sure it'll be on all digital platforms worldwide. Is there a European release?
Yep. It's worldwide. Yeah, worldwide.
Oh, okay. Great.
And
you can hear the singles right now.
Right.
Saturday and
I Want Out and Flaunt It.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
The three. And then there's going to be a fourth one that's coming out very soon too. So
excellent.
And there could be even a fifth one. I don't know. They keep talking about it. I have nothing to do with the singles. I don't choose them. I take myself out of the discussion. So because I always choose the deep cuts. I'm like, why not this one?
Does JC have anything to do with choosing those?
Yeah, he's definitely involved in that more than I am.
Okay.
But I just never choose the right one because I like the deep cuts. So
right.
It sounds like JC's instincts have served you well so far. So
yeah, it's a kind of a loose group of our management, and JC's in there, and obviously the labels have their say and stuff. But I mean, so many cooks in the kitchen for that. I just don't care.
Yeah,
right.
Whatever you want to put out is fine by me. I don't really care. I mean, if I had my choice, it would be other tracks that will never get released. So,
well, I think that just them letting you be the juice, the fire, coming up with, your content is consistently prolific. I feel like I hear Thin Lizzy, I hear UFO, I hear Kiss all over it. It's like you write the Gene Simmons songs that Gene Simmons doesn't write. Other than Christine 16, because you could go to jail for that shit.
Right. I know that stuff is like going blind is insane in 2021. But out of all the Kiss guys, Gene's voice is definitely something I don't know if I could do Paul, and I can't do Peter. So Gene is the closest thing I can do.
Yeah, I am guilty of channeling some Gene as well.
Yeah, I think we all are. Whether they.
Well, between him and Blackie Lawless, I don't even think they realized they spawned an entire black metal culture.
Black metal for sure. That's I have to agree with that. And not a lot of people say that, I don't think a lot of people have said that, but
no, they can't, they can't, they just think, Wasp and Kiss, whatever. No, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Between just Blackie Lawless, well, you could say King Diamond and Alice Cooper, but I feel like not as much.
Well, maybe visually and aesthetically, sure.
But I think Gene and his tone and Blackie Lawless and how it's underground-ish, the personifications that they're it's like they're throwing their blood on you and the saw blades and the fire and the blood and the demons and it spawned an entire corpse paint generation.
Oh, I totally see that. You know,
even in the sound,
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, even his Blackie's voice, I could see it, and even his facial expressions as well. I could totally see, and of course, Gene goes without saying. You talk to some of those black metal guys from Norway, and they're humongous Kiss fans.
Oh,
humongous Kiss fans.
Yeah. Well, they would kind of have to be, in my opinion. I think Danny Filth from Cradle of Filth sounds like Blackie a little bit sometimes with that
Right.
wretched fry vocal
Right.
that he's got. He sounds like Blackie a little bit. He may not even realize that that's what others might hear or maybe not. But
well, when you talk to Abbott from Immortal, he's got Kiss posters in his up on his tour bus. Like he's over the top, man.
He's on tour, but he's not leaving home.
Yeah.
So I like that. So my Kiss posters are all over my wall, and I'm in my 50s. That never changed.
Same here. Yeah.
Really.
I do have my Blacklight Kiss poster in the other room.
Perfect.
Danko,
Dave, take us out.
Yeah, Danko, much like Jason, I mean, I could sit here and talk to you for days, and this has really been a great episode. And I know we kept you long, but it's because it was so interesting, and we thank you.
Oh, it's fun as hell.
Yeah, thank you so much for being available. Thank you for spending so much time with us, and thank you for all the great music. And we'll look forward to Power Trio coming out next month. Tell us again, August what?
27th.
August 27th, folks. Power Trio, the new album from Danko Jones. That's going to do it for this episode of the Talk Louder podcast. On behalf of my co-host, Jason McMaster, our very special guest star, Danko Jones, I'm Metal Dave Glessner. Thank you all for listening.